Testing, testing. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. We'll just be starting in just one moment.
All right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Don Williamson. I'm the 2020 Chairman of the Board of the Corona Chamber of Commerce. We have a lot to get to today. This call is one of the things that your Corona Chamber of Commerce offers you to help you navigate through your business day and help you with information that you can probably not get anywhere else as readily as you can get it here today. I'd like to thank our sponsor today, Altura Credit Union. Altura Credit Union is been very active with our chamber, very generous with us, and we like to thank them for sponsoring us today. If you have any desire to be a sponsor of this call, we welcome you to contact the chamber office. You can talk to Desiree or Linda or anyone who answers the phone pretty much. So thank you again to Altura. Remember, if you have any questions after our speakers, to use the chat button. Not everyone on this call will be able to see the chat notices. So if you have a specific question for one of the speakers, please type it into the chat bot, and Linda will ask the question for you when it's appropriate. And then sometimes we get the same question multiple times, so then she can consolidate them and spend our time better. Again, we have this Zoom meeting today. Please look at our website, and at the end of the call today, we'll be talking about some of the other activities that we do to help out and make this membership of the Chamber of Commerce a valuable asset for your business. We're happy and want to thank our speakers for being here today. Each one of them brings something to the table that has useful information. And our first guest speaker is Leslie Trainor from Riverside County's she's Riverside County's Deputy Director of Workforce and Economic Development, and she has some useful information for us today. So I'll turn it over now to Leslie.
Good morning. Thank you, Dawn, for the warm introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Leslie Trainor. I work for the County of Riverside Workforce Development, and wanted to just give everybody a general update on what we're up to nowadays and the programs and services that are available to you. So just to make sure you're aware, at Workforce Development, we view the workforce development system as really an ecosystem. And that ecosystem consists of two entities. There's the workers and the employers. And we need both to be in good shape in order for that workforce ecosystem to function optimally. So our objective is to make sure the workforce is skilled and ready, and that the employers are strong and resilient. So to that end, we offer services for both workers and employers. For workers on the labor force side, we offer things such as career coaching, job search assistance. We provide labor market information so job seekers can make a good choice about what vocation they're going to go into. We help create resumes, brush up existing resumes, help folks prepare for interviews. We have workshops and boot camps to help workers be prepared to re-enter, or in some cases for the first time, enter the workforce. And one of the biggies that we offer is paid vocational training. We don't offer the vocational training ourselves, but we partner with vocational training providers, and individuals who qualify, we can pay for up to $8,000 in training. All of the services that I just mentioned are free. We are funded through federal monies through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, or WIOA. So these are benefits and services that anybody in Riverside County could take advantage of. And some you would need to income qualify. Now for the employer side, I'm going to give an overview, and then I have Alexia Nevens joining me today to give you a little bit deeper information about employer services. So for employers in Riverside County, we can assist you with recruiting for open positions. We can screen applicants. So if you have an open position and you're getting inundated with applications, we can help you screen through. And believe it or not, even in the odd climate of the current pandemic, we are still providing those services to employers who need that. We can also get help finding answers to human resources related questions. We have employers who use our facilities to conduct recruitment. We are doing that on a limited basis right now by appointment only. And for employers, one of our major programs too is on-the-job training. We can provide reimbursement of up to 50% of a new employee's salary as they train, and the employer provides the training so that you, the employer, can provide the training that you feel is best and most appropriate. We also offer outplacement services, and our program that we refer to as Rapid Response, unfortunately at the beginning of the pandemic was very active. And with Rapid Response, that entails employers who are undergoing large-scale layoffs. We are able to assist if that employer desires the assistance. And what we do is we provide information to the affected employees about how they can connect with healthcare, continuing their healthcare coverage, applying for unemployment insurance, and obtaining new employment. So those are all services that we offer to both workers and employers in Riverside County. Our centers are currently closed to the public. However, the team at Workforce Development is very much on the job, and we are available to assist by phone. We're doing these Zoom things like everybody else, email. We've beefed up our website to try and make as much as possible available virtually. And that website is rivcoworkforce.com. And I think it's, if you look at the slide in front of you, There are little contact cards for myself and Alexia, and the website is on there. So I am now going to hand it off to Alexia to give you a little bit more information on employer services. And Alexia is a business solutions consultant with Workforce Development. So Alexia, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Leslie. Well, good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to share more information and to give you examples how employers have actually participated in the on-the-job training program. It has provided employers with an amazing cost savings when hiring new employees. I want to give you an example of a manufacturing company that manufactures windows and doors. They participated in the on-the-job training incentive program. They had over 25 job openings in a variety of areas, ranging from glazers to packagers to fabricators. And the starting wages for these particular positions were $15.50 per hour. And we were able to offer the employer reimbursement per candidate $3,720, offering a total amount of reimbursement to the business of $93,000. Also, logistic company we've worked with, and I also want to share that our services are available. It does not matter the size of the business. It can be a business of 200 employees or a business of 5. Another example I have for you is a logistics company. They hired 22 employees. This is within the past 3 months, traveling selectors. The wages for the position were $17.50 per hour. The reimbursement to the employer was $4,200 per candidate, for a total cost savings to the business of over $92,400. Also, I've worked closely with small businesses. There is a Skylark manufacturing company, small company with 7 employees. They hired 3 welders at $21 per hour, offering $5,040 to you, the employer, for reimbursement, for a total of $15,120. Employers have shared with me, due to the on-the-job training reimbursement that has been available, they have been able to expand their hiring and also provide a variety of incentives to their employees, whether it's lunches they've offered to their employees for motivation, or some type of gift certificates to their employees. But the money that you actually receive as a business for the reimbursement we offer, what you do with that money is totally up to you. In these uncertain times, we look forward to offering quality business services targeting your individual needs to our Corona businesses. We want to cultivate a strong partnership and provide you assistance or resources that can best serve you. Our services are not cookie cutter services, because we do understand each business has individual needs, and we want to assist you according to the needs that you have individually. So I thank you for your time, and I hope everyone stays very healthy. My contact information is listed, and also please feel free to contact Linda there at the chamber, and she can provide you with my phone number and my email address, and I do look forward to assisting all of the businesses that are in the Corona area.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Alexia. So between Alexia and me, we've provided a lot of information. If you have any questions, if you would like to use our services, feel free to contact us directly. We're here to assist.
Thank you so much, Alexia and Leslie. Really great information. And you can see their contact information there on the screen. So Linda, do we have any questions for Ms. Nevens or Ms. Trainor?
I do. I have a couple here. The first one is, what makes a business eligible for the OJT program?
Actually, this is Alexia Nevens. Actually, a business is eligible for the on-the-job training program. We will obtain documentation such as a federal and state ID number. Also, we have a W-9 form we send to the employer that needs to be completed, a pre-award checklist form that we send to the employer in which we can assist them in filling out, and also we receive proof that the employer offers workers' comp coverage to their employees. So we do request the cover sheet of their workers' comp insurance. And those are the only requirements for an employer to participate.
Well, could I also add to that, the employer, generally speaking, would need to be located in Riverside County. We also target employers in specific industries. So with the federal funding we receive, our Workforce Development Board has identified target industries so that we can prioritize our resources. So the type of industries that we do prioritize include healthcare, construction, manufacturing, logistics and transportation, warehousing, administrative services. So, things like IT positions, those positions that span across industries. Those, in addition to what Alexia mentioned, we're seeking out and trying to prioritize businesses in those industries.
Thank you. Another question is, does a new business qualify, and how long does a business then need to be in business to qualify?
A business would need to be in existence for 120 days to qualify to participate in the on-the-job training.
And I understand that on-job training is for full-time positions in certain industries. What types of services do you have for businesses that employ part-time or are not in one of those targeted industries?
Well, actually, we work with partners such as the Department of Social Services. They do have candidates that are also seeking employment, and there is funding available. The type of funding is called Subsidized Employment Program, and they are able to provide assistance to the businesses for part-time positions and also assist in their recruiting efforts.
But generally speaking, if an employer comes to us and has a need that we may not be able to fulfill, or they're looking for a program or service that we just don't offer, we have, Workforce Development has an amazing network of partners, one of which Alexia just referenced, Public Social Services. We also partner with Goodwill, Department of Rehabilitation, and the objective of ours and of all of our partners is to help the workforce development system, help both the workers and the employers through a variety of programs. So if you're a business and you need assistance, we would encourage you to contact us if there's something that you need that we can't do ourselves. As Alexia mentioned, we would connect you with resources that we think you would find helpful.
Great, thank you. One more question. My workers don't want to come back to work. What do you suggest we do?
That's a good question, and one that we're hearing a lot. And in fact, there's been a lot of conversation about what would happen as of July 31st when those $600 a week pandemic unemployment assistance benefits desisted. As we were hearing some chatter from employers that there was some resistance to go back to work. And we were seeing that firsthand when we were assisting in recruiting, particularly entry-level jobs that pay minimum wage. It was truly some resistance on the part of workers to go back to work. So our recommendation would be to alert the Employment Development Department, California EDD, that you had offered your position, the open position, back to the employee, that the employee declined. And then we would be very happy to assist you with recruiting new employees. Alexia, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that Leslie definitely covered it. That's exactly how we would assist those businesses.
Thank you. That it, Linda?
That's the last of my questions.
Okay. Again, Leslie and Alexia, thank you so much. This was great information. And we really appreciate the incredible job that not only you two do, but the entire Riverside County team. So thank you again for being here today.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is going to discuss the developments in downtown Corona. And it's from the City of Corona's Economic Development Coordinator. And that would be Ryan Cortez. Ryan.
Good morning, Donnie, and thank you for the introduction. Linda, if we could go ahead and jump into those slides. All right, and next slide. So as Donnie shared, I'm going to give just a general brief overview of downtown activity. We've been getting a lot of questions lately, most of the questions being, how does COVID affect all the developments that we're all so excited, and I'm here today to share some good news with you. So here's just a general overview of our downtown. It's not just a lot of colors. And our downtown, just to be clear, we consider 6th and Main. That is the heart of our downtown, and really the rest of it being the Grand Boulevard Circle. So as you know, the biggest project within the downtown is the Corona Mall project, and I'll share a little bit more about that, but we also have numerous other activity on all quadrants. So if you see in that bottom left-hand corner, everything there in yellow is Corona Regional Medical Center. Great partner, blessed to have them here in the community. As you know, a couple years ago, they made a large investment, expanded their emergency room, and really at this time has been critical in triaging and taking care of those COVID patients we have in the community. Just above that, you'll see in sort of a blue color right there at 7th Street, 7th and Bell Avenue. That is actually all being developed now. If you were to drive along 6th Street, you'd see a lot of construction out there. That's going to be the home of 2 new medical office buildings. And yes, the first building will be City of Hope's office building, built to suit. Extremely excited to have that type of service in our community. Historically, those who have been suffering or family members who have been suffering have oftentimes been taking their treatments outside the city to either Loma Linda or areas in Orange County. If you, at the top of the screen there, you'll see sort of a purple shade. That's vacant land. We get a lot of questions about what's going on there. It's been sitting there vacant for many years. I can share at this point in time that a developer does own the property. They're looking at acquiring additional property within the area and putting together a comprehensive commercial retail development. And I'll go ahead and jump on the next slide and really focus a little bit more about the Corona Mall activity. Thank you, Linda. So the Corona Mall is 52 parcels. We've all been there. We're all kind of aware of the current condition. But just to put it into a little bit better perspective, we have two portions of the mall, the North and the South Mall. The North Mall is the larger portion there at the top of the screen. And 13 of the properties are currently owned by a developer, that being Lab Holdings. Remarkable developer, very well known, has successfully activated and developed the downtown in Anaheim, Costa Mesa, some projects in South Orange County as well. And this is their first Inland Empire project. So they currently own 13 properties and are actively working to acquire additional properties. 14 of those properties remain privately owned, and the city of Corona still operates and owns those parking lots. Now jumping down to the lower portion of the screen, that south mall, the developer owns 6 of those properties. We have 6 privately owned entities there, parcels there, 3 properties that remain city-owned parking lots, and one unique property down there, which is home to Corona Norco Unified School District's Parent Center. So that is staying. We've gotten questions about whether the Parent Center is leaving. I know that they offer a lot of services to our community, and I can share that lease is still in place, and the city did ensure that is still part of the project. Next slide. A little bit of just some brief background, and I'll try to just give you a good overview. We get a lot of questions about, so how did the city end up with these properties? How, you know, what's sort of the background here? So I'll just give you a few, just a brief overview. So back in the early 2000s, the city had a very active redevelopment agency, as did more than 450 cities in the state of California. So through the early 2000s through 2011, the city was actively acquiring properties in the downtown for purposes of a full redevelopment. Then in 2004, we put together a business improvement district. Business improvement district is a special mechanism that's a property assessment that has the ability to do common area maintenance and improve some of the infrastructure. So that was done in 2004, and it just expired June 30th of this year. Then came along the infamous Assembly Bill, which eliminated redevelopment agencies throughout the state of California. This occurred in June of 2011. Ultimately, it was contested and upheld by the Supreme Court. Next slide, Linda. So as part of the wind down operations of redevelopment agencies, the city of Corona became the successor agency to the redevelopment agency. We're in a position now of, you know, what are next steps? What can we do? So we had the opportunity to either essentially give the properties and sell them at the courthouse SIPs at the county, or come up with a plan to try to continue to develop the project with the properties that we did own. In about 2014 timeframe, we did move the properties to the Corona Housing Authority. This allowed us to do 2 things. It allowed us to either build or develop workforce housing, or to sell the properties at market value. Ultimately, for this location within the Corona Mall, we determined it was not the best area for a housing project. It's very challenging to do so. And we were challenged by our council at that time to go out and seek a developer who could activate the downtown and work with the properties that we did have. Lo and behold, we opened up conversations with Lab Holdings. Next slide, please. So really now, what is the next step? In 2017, we entered into a disposition development agreement with Lab Holdings, ultimately closing escrow in 2018. They did have 1 year of due diligence. So now here we are in 2020. None of us could imagine that we'd be in the midst of a pandemic. The developer was prepared to kick off the first phase, which was the South Mall, and was prepared to close on a very large construction loan, which would have funded all those improvements. Next slide, please. So we're here, if any of you caught Planning Commission on Monday, we are proposing a second amendment. This will be going before the City Council on the 19th. There's been a lot of questions about it. I've gotten questions. I always encourage questions. I want to get the facts out there. I know that there's been some things discussed on social media, and they're not all necessarily true. So what this amendment will be doing is doing really 2 things. On the South Mall there, which is, we can refer to it as a 99-cent store side. So most of us here in the community kind of refer to it. We're going to create 2 small parcels within the South Mall parking lot that the developer will have an opportunity in the future to acquire and develop. And then they'll also be updating the schedule of performance, as I shared. And as we all know, COVID has thrown quite the wrench into the works on all commercial developments. Really the largest piece of that being that many lenders pulled back on commercial financing. So shortly, just a couple of weeks prior to them closing on the construction loan, they notified us that their lender had pulled back, and this isn't unique to this developer, this project. We saw this on numerous other projects as well. So we will be proposing an updated schedule, which would require the project to be completed on that side by December 10th of 2021. Next slide, Linda. So here's these two South Mall option property parcels they're discussing. Currently right now, they're parking lots. The developer intends to create two parcels there. What will likely be small retail developments or perhaps even a pocket park, still toying with what those ideas ultimately will be. But this will give the South Side project a better grand entrance. Right now, you know, you have the driveway off of Main Street, but it doesn't feel like a grand quality project. So this will help develop that more of that feel. Additionally, this is contingent upon the reconfiguration and redesign of the South Mall parking lot, ensuring that there's adequate parking for all of the properties there. And we've gone out, we've surveyed it, we played with some designs with the developer, and it looks like after this is all said and done, there will actually be additional parking there. So we know that their projects are you know, become sites for many patrons, and that they do need lots of parking. So good news there. Next slide, Linda. Now, with respect to the other part of this proposed amendment, the city will be going forward and working with the developer on creating a new business improvement district. As I shared in my previous slides, we did have one that was activated in 2005 and expired this past June. The developer does wish to work with the city and create a new one. This will allow us to not only maintain the area property, but also improve some of the infrastructure within the mall area. So as such, the city will be working with them on a temporary maintenance basis. Be looking to cover that cost for probably about the next 12 months, not to exceed 24 months. But the reality is we're thinking about 12 months. And then in that interim period, creating this new business improvement district, which will give the developer and our patrons, our community, the confidence that there's now renewed investment into those parking lots, those common areas. Right now, there's a lot of deferred maintenance, and we need to go in there and quite honestly do some major renovations. Next slide, please. With that, I think I know most of you on the call, but for those who don't, please take down my information. I would be happy to sit down and chat, or in this case right now, Zoom, or take a call, email, whatever it may be, discuss the project at large with you, anything with respect to downtown. Very passionate about it. You know, the support of elected officials, city management, and all of our department heads, we've been able to land an amazing developer. There's some very exciting things to come in the near future. That said, Linda, I'm happy to take any questions anybody may have.
I don't have any questions at this time, but on a personal note, I'm super excited.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Ryan. I you know, that downtown is something that I hate to get my hopes up, but this actually looks like there's finally going to be some fruition to what our plans are. That's really exciting. That's so much potential here in Corona, and for everyone on the call, I know they feel the same way, then they realize that. And you know, that has a history of being a thriving economic area, juggernaut for Corona for decades. So thank you so much for the information and for keeping us posted on this very important development here in the Circle City. So thank you very much, Ryan.
Absolutely, Donnie. And just one last word, I just appreciate the Chamber's support. I know they've been a big support of the project since the inception, and continue to appreciate everything they're doing for us.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Our advocacy outreach has been tremendous, and during the past few months, the Corona Chamber has been putting a lot of emphasis on this. This, in fact, is something that we really consider a priority. We love to see our community not only informed, but engaged in our legislative advocacy opportunities. And we have with us today, Jeff Gibson from Occidental Communication. He's our advocacy and legislators advisors. And if you have any questions regarding legislative matters and how bills may affect your business, please let us know and we'll try to get you some answers. So at this time, I would like to welcome Jeff Gibson.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. And that is very good news on the Corona Mall. So that's a very long time coming. So it's just been a very complicated project. Complicated doesn't even get into what we're looking at in the last 3 weeks of the state legislature or what's been going on in Washington, D.C. Just a real quick oversight or overview of what happened in Washington, D.C. recently is Congress, for the most part, is adjourned for the summer, and which puts U.S. senators back in their districts. The House has never come back into full session, believe it or not, since the start of the pandemic. They've been voting by proxy through the Speaker, and Republicans have been back in the trying to get back into session, but the Speaker won't call them back in, other than for committee hearings. And you may have seen some of the committee hearings. So the President last week on Friday announced, and then on Saturday signed executive orders essentially enforcing the basics of what was going to be the fourth relief package for the United States as part of the pandemic and economic responses, extending unemployment benefits. Instead of a $600 premium, there would be a $400 premium, and most importantly, suspending at least through the end of the year and perhaps beyond, depending upon the findings, withholding taxes for employees. So that's going to be something that you're going to want to be in touch with your tax advisors on and others, because that probably will be on a bottom line basis week over week for your employees and employed people across the United States. That's going to be the biggest amount of economic relief and the biggest change practically in the collection of taxes that we've had since World War II. So that's a big change for many of us who view lowering taxes or allowing people to keep more of the money that they have available to them. That's a major win, but it will be a major change no matter what happens. So we are going to stay on top of that and on top of the omnibus action, and this is what we're going to be talking about next week, on federal legislation to limit the liability for employers dealing with COVID-19. In California, we have a number of bills that we'll also look at next week that actually create workers' compensation presumptions that favor employees. So even if they get COVID-19, unfortunately, it's never good no matter how you catch it. But in California, that would create the presumption that all cases were emanated from the workplace and make your workers' compensation insurance policies responsible for the care of your employees in that case, as opposed to they caught it offsite and walk through that process. So that's a big thing. You'll want to be here next week for that. This week we're dealing with tax increases, and specifically we're dealing with AB 398 and another bill that won't be on the slide, but AB 1253. So AB 398, which was originally passed in Seattle about 3 years ago, was pulled back by that city council, which referred to it as a job killer. And so I think with the events that have been going on the last 90 to 120 days, I think every American would agree that the Seattle City Council isn't typically dominated by conservative anti-tax Republicans. So before it was enacted, it was a $275 per head tax on employers of over 200 people. And as a result of Amazon and several other large employers deciding to immediately leave the city of Seattle, and then when the state legislature implemented the tax as well, announced that they were going to be leaving the state altogether, both the governor and the mayor referred to the taxes as job killers. And so somehow this idea of a $275 per person tax has made it into California. It's only been implemented by the city of Mountain View, which embraced the job killer moniker and said that they have too many jobs in Mountain View. And so this was going to be a way to create an opportunity for them to eliminate overemployment is precisely how they put it at the beginning of this last year. But that bill is currently stalled in the legislature. Many are saying that it's dead, but until they ring the bell on August 31st at midnight, at the end of the day, there is no such thing as a bill that is dead in this legislature. So that's something that we're tracking very closely. The second bill that we're tracking very closely, and this has to do with a lot of small businesses that are organized as sole proprietorships, or depending upon how you have organized your ownership, would very likely hit you. And currently in the state of California, businesses and individuals that make over $1 million a year face income taxes of up to 11.3%. AB 1253, which has been introduced by a number of different members of the state assembly, would increase that amount on a sliding scale of 12.3% for people and organizations that make more than $1 million in the state of California. It would be 12.3% if you make more than $3 million in revenue. It would be 13.3%. And if you make more than, 14.3%. And if you make more than $5 million, then it's a 5% increase to 16.5%, which is almost double the next closest state in terms of tax rates, of marginal tax rates. So that would be an amazing hit on the state of California employers, and as many of you can vouch for, because we're all on this call, because we're commercially aware and in the marketplace. Just because you get $100 into the door, or you get $5 million into the door, and on a tax form it is recorded as being profit, does not mean that it's profit. But unfortunately, the state of California is viewing that at least at 11.5% and up to 16.5%. The legislature knows that that is such a, as they refer to it, bold step, that they had a relatively unusual hearing in which it was just for information only, and they had 200 people active in the hearing. We monitored the hearing. They took testimony and declared that at a later date that they may take a vote on the floor in committee, which the way committees are now organized are organized on the floor of the Assembly or the State Senate. It's a very imperfect way to interact with your legislators on such a key issue. It's not by design because of the emergency, but it is very imperfect. And you have people, if you've ever been to Sacramento with us, or Washington, D.C., you know that the galleries are floors above, well above the floor of the Assembly. And in this case, the gallery is where you would stand to testify on your bill if you were lucky enough to be in Sacramento and could get inside the building, of which very few people can, or you're on a Zoom call. It's very, very, very different than being able to buttonhole a legislator in the hallway and let them know your opinion personally. So in this strange environment and strange year, they had an information hearing only, and it's clear that it would pass committee and then pass out onto the floor. What appears to be happening is that this AB 1253, which is the income tax increase, is going to be part of the larger budget negotiation of what we're going to get to deal with the $54.3 billion deficit that the state is facing in this year. Several states which have had large requests into the federal government for direct state aid have, in the last 72 hours, obviously made the conclusion that many in the country can make, that by the president announcing unilaterally that he is going to, by executive order, provide the assistance, about 80% of the assistance that was going to be in the fourth omnibus act on pandemics, the acts that created PPP and all of the issues that we've been discussing from going back to March. Now that Trump has announced, president has issued those without any state aid in them. Most large states, of which California obviously is one, have made the very straightforward analysis that in the short term, getting state aid to close budget deficits is very highly unlikely. And so knowing now that states are largely going to be on their own, states are following a number of different strategies. In New York, they immediately announced all the schools were open and that they were going to be reopening businesses much quicker so that they can get more tax revenue in the door. In California, the decision on reopening schools is still up in the air, as each of us know, but one of the things that the legislature started to consider much more closely were a number of different tax issues. One of those is AB 398 in the legislature, which is the $275 per person tax. And the legislature decided to at least hit the pause button on that. AB 1253, which we just discussed, which would increase state income taxes by up to 33% on top earners. The legislature didn't say no, didn't say yes, but did announce that it's going to continue to consider that bill. So that's going into a strange kind of in-between experience of it hasn't been acted on, but it's been heard in committee. So we're going to track that for you very closely. The third thing that the legislature is going to be talking about, continually talking about, are speeding up the collection of taxes, and that's a concern. It's always a concern for future revenue in later years. And so the theory here is that if you pay your 2021 taxes today, or your 2022 taxes today, or your 2023 taxes today, that you would get some form of discount or dispensation, or basically the discount that would be coming in is, hey, if we need to increase taxes in 2021, you may be grandfathered in because you paid your taxes early. That is, this legislature is saying that they have never really attempted that. I've been in this business for 30 years now. They have, and they have going back quite a ways to kind of dig out of a hole. And we used the analogy last week of paying for a hamburger that you order today, paying for it next Tuesday, as any of us would remember from childhood. Well, that's basically been the effect on the state of California when we have issued tax vouchers. Is we get to 2022, we get to 2024, and we see that, oops, wait, yeah, we knew we were going to have less revenue, but we didn't balance our books to account for that. And so now we have to raise revenue, raise tax rates, raise whatever we're going to be looking at. So there are a lot of things moving. Finally, Prop 15, which is the split roll property tax initiative. The courts have upheld most of the, and I think anybody in this process that looks at this clearly would say that they would hope that a ballot argument from the state attorney general, so not the yes side, not the no side, but the state attorney general's analysis, would clearly state that this is a tax increase of up to 100%. Instead, the state attorney general decided to not mention that it's going to be a tax increase, but talk about that it is going to be a funding increase for education, for roads, for a number of different items. And through the recalculation of tax rates for certain specific organizations in the state of California. So in years past, you would not get an analysis like that. You would get that this is a tax increase. And the theory goes, the primary thing that an initiative does should be the primary thing that the state attorney general analyzes, and then the secondary thing, and then the third thing, and then the effect. Instead, what we've done here is we've turned it upside down, and the courts have okayed this, where you have an analysis, what is known as a fair analysis of a bill that is a tax increase initiative that barely mentions, if at all, that it is a tax increase. And so they were sued, and the state actually won its case on that. So there's a high, we need to have you be out and telling your employees, telling your neighbors, telling your friends, telling your Facebook pages, being active wherever you can be active, and say, if Prop 15 passes, my rent will increase 15 to 20% every year in perpetuity, and that money will not be going to my landlord. That money won't be going to my school in full. That money will be going to Sacramento, and a small portion of it will be returning to Corona Norco schools. A small portion of it will be returning for roads. That it is not a tax increase, that it is not a rent increase on me that will make my landlord richer. In fact, it'll do just the opposite. And really personalize your concerns about Prop 15. Because the more voters go into the voting booth or get that vote by mail ballot at their home and understand that they are going to be able to raise education funds or raise different funds, including for transportation, that obviously is a incentive for them to vote for a Prop 15, which is extremely dangerous and disappointing. So now with that, I would happily take any of your questions and comments or anything else I can do.
Thank you, Jeff. Linda, do we have any questions?
Yeah, can you explain the gut and amend in 20 seconds or less?
Well, seeing the source of the question, sure. So a gut and amend is a piece of legislation, and actually this used to be extremely rare because of what you're going to hear. But it's a bill that goes through the process, and it goes through committee hearing after committee hearing. It gets passed by its house of origin, which means that if I'm in the state assembly, like Mr. Miller, who's on this call, used to be in the state assembly and served us very ably. So it passes out of the state assembly, it goes through the state senate. So it has basically only one or two additional hurdles before it goes to the governor's desk. The idea is on a gut and amend is that you essentially remove everything out of that bill except the bill number, and you put in an entirely new bill. There was one case that dealt with education funding for charter schools that went through the entire process as a pesticide regulatory reform bill that had 100% unanimous support going through the process. And on the fourth to last day in the legislature became a education related bill, basically eliminating a whole class of charter schools. And that is gut and amend, where you've gone through and you literally take everything out of your bill and put something totally and completely new in it. That is, Mr. Miller, I believe, is asking about that. Was that 20 seconds, Linda? He's asking about that because that really is the process that we're up against, unfortunately. There was a bill that was going to increase the California Environmental Quality Act regulations on the building of approved housing developments. So you have gone through your regulatory process. You have done all the things that you need to do. And then the state comes back and says, no, I know that we have a contract that you are allowed to use your property the way that you said you wanted to, but we're going to increase retroactively the rules. The legislature, and especially the legislative council, said, no, you can't do that legally, and voted the bill down. Yesterday, that bill's author took another piece of legislation that was unrelated, took all the words out of that bill, which is the gut, and then quote unquote amended that bill that had not been passed into SB 55, which we're tracking, because SB 55 is only one step through getting through the legislature. Now, there's an additional 1 to 2 steps on a gut and amend bill, but those are very, very slight. It's a very dangerous and strange way to legislate. It used to be extremely rare. You'd only have 1 or 2 cases a year, but now you have hundreds. And especially in cases of emergency, you have quite a lot. So that's definitely something. Every day we get a gut and amend report, and it usually has about 40 bills on it. So, and in the first 150 years of this state, we probably had 30 gut and amend bills. So you're getting about 30 to 40 a week. It's very, very unfortunate, but it's something that we're watching.
Linda,
Thank you. That's all the questions. Yeah, that's all the questions that we have right now.
Wow.
Okay.
A lot going on. Thank you so much, Jeff. And again, I reiterate, this is why we spend so much of our time at the Corona Chamber of Commerce in advocacy, because this is all so important to the very fiber of business in our state and us being able to stay in business. I just want to remind you that you need to register for this call every week. And our next one will be 1 week from today, which would be August the 19th. And the topic will be passing employer pandemic liability protection. Jeff just touched on that briefly, what's going on with that. So that will be next week's topic. I want to thank all of our guest speakers. And again, I want to thank our sponsor today. Altura Credit Union. Oh boy, I drew a blank there, obviously. And we have a few announcements before we conclude. Kim, you want to begin with that? I would like to introduce Kim Maybon. She is our 2021 chairman of the board, so she's the chair-elect, and she's going to rotate some announcements with me. Kim.
Thank you, Don. Just a reminder for those of you who are not yet a member, or if you know of a neighboring business who would find chamber membership beneficial, please contact Robert Yanez to become part of our chamber family. We do service a regional landscape. If you refer a member, you will get free advertisement in the Corona Business News.
Thank you. Our next coffee with an entrepreneur will be with Greg and Bonnie Yoder. They own Crumbles Cookies down by Stater Brothers on Magnolia. This is a program that the Chamber is in partnership with the City of Corona to provide. It'll be Monday, September 14th. It'll be on Zoom. It's free, so register today so you can be part of that. Kim?
And we want to thank our sponsor, Altura Credit Union, for sponsoring today's business briefing. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor, please contact the Chamber.
Thank you. And the golf sponsors, I want to thank them. The businesses who are sponsoring it, here, we have a couple slides for the upcoming Golf Classic. It's been postponed until later this fall, but the details for this, for our annual Golf Classic will be coming soon. There's still foursomes that are being accepted through this Friday, August 14th. To receive a full sponsor benefits and all the goodies that you get for being a sponsor, come and be a part of this signature event that we put on, like I said, every year. Support our local healthcare frontline heroes by sponsoring them. To enjoy, they can enjoy all the inclusive day of golfing, food, gifts, drinks, and fun. Each sponsorship donation will get you an opportunity ticket for you to have a chance to win some really nice prizes. Kim?
Our next Good Morning Corona on August 21st will be our ELR graduation celebration. We're excited to commemorate their accomplishments. Both virtual and in-person tickets are available. In-person meeting will be a drive-in themed at Silver Lake in Norco.
Thank you. The Women's Leadership Conference will be Thursday, September the 24th. You want to get your tickets now. They're $45 per person until August 31st. This event is going to be 100% virtual. You don't want to miss it. It's got a lot of good people. We have a doctor's group that comes and speak. It's really a day of valuable information for you. So please get your tickets today. Kim?
Register now for Paul Webb's popular workshop on Thursday, September 3rd. Paul is a licensed NLP master trainer with over 43 years of sales training experience. The September workshop's topic is how to handle customer attitudes, skepticism, indifference, and objections. If you've missed any of the past workshops, don't worry, he will do a quick review before going on to new material.
Thank you. And once again, next week, a week from today, 10 a.m., we'll be talking about passing employer pandemic liability protection. Sign up right now while you're sitting at your computer. There's the link to do so. And I look forward to talking to you then. Again, thank you to all of our speakers. Thanks for all of you for joining us today. And we'll be back here next week. Until then, have a good week. Thank you very much.